Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart Allen Swordlow.
And Janet Diane Moya Swordlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for Christmas/Appreciation Week 2018. My goodness, it seems like I just said that a year ago, and I did. And so here we are, another year later. Are we wiser, another year wiser? I think I am. I am absolutely brilliant this year. Would you say that?
I guess I have to.
You would, otherwise you'd be in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But I have some very interesting news. We don't have a lot of news this week because most of you are interested mostly in the presents under your tree and going shopping and eating food and all that stuff while Janet and I are working. And so let me tell you some interesting news. Because the United States has pledged $5.8 billion in aid and investment for strengthening government and economic development in Central America, and another $4.8 billion in development for aid for southern Mexico. Just southern Mexico gets almost $5 billion. The U.S. aid is to promote better security conditions and job opportunities to allow Central Americans and Mexicans to remain in their countries and not emigrate. I think it's brilliant. The plan was announced in a joint U.S.-Mexican statement, and according to the new president of Mexico, López Obrador, he said, and I quote, of course he said it in Spanish, but in English he said, "I have a dream that I want to see become a reality, that nobody will want to go to work in the United States anymore. I don't even want to work in the United States."
Maybe we need to go to Mexico.
Yeah. I on a side note, I just read that said 1/3 of Americans want to leave the country and live someplace else. 1/3.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. So we should let all the other Hispanics in,
and we go
and
there.
we leave.
And we go there.
Yeah.
Why not?
Anyway, there's also both public and private investments to promote institutional reforms and developments in what they call the Northern Triangle. I never knew about this before. The Northern Triangle apparently is a term that means Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. That's not northern.
We've been out of those countries.
Yes, we have. But I think if that's the Northern Triangle, then the Southern Triangle must be Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Panama. And Belize is just like...
So we've been on all those too?
Been all those places. Yeah. Anyway, the U.S. Overseas Private Investment Corporation, which I didn't know existed, is prepared to invest and mobilize $2 billion additional. I wish they'd invest some
with us.
Yeah.
Well, when we were down there in El Salvador, remember all the billboards?
Yeah, that was your friend Bill Gates.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Billions of dollars he gave there.
And wow, what a success it's been. Mm. And additional funds for projects in southern Mexico that are viable and attract private sector investment. And President Obrador, who took office December 1st, has made a development in that region a priority, and he has included, I think I've mentioned this, a Mayan train.
No, you didn't mention that.
I thought I did. It's a Mayan train stretching from the touristy parts of the Yucatan Peninsula down to Chiapas, which is in the southern part. On the
I
border.
like that idea, but it just has to be safe.
And as you know, I have a connection to the President Obrador, and I think it's a great idea. Why wasn't this done before? Let me answer. Because of the evil plan to destroy North America by President Obama and George Soros.
Do I have a connection to the President of Mexico too?
Well, if you know me and you stay friends with me, yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, no. Now, to the Middle East. Actually, to the moon, Alice. Israel has a moon mission that will blast off in February and place a time capsule on the moon.
I didn't know Israel had a space program.
Well, listen to this. It will land, this is interesting, it'll land between the landing sites of Apollo 15 and 17. So does that make it the 16? Because it's between 15 and 17. I don't understand that. Anyway, it'll be the first mission of its kind since 2013, and Israel will be the fourth country to carry out a controlled soft landing of an unmanned vessel on the moon. The other three were the United States, Soviet Union, and China. And Israel is fourth. Israel has launched satellites before, but this is the first long-range Israeli spacecraft of its kind. Now, here's the interesting part. The craft is named Bereshit, which is Hebrew for Genesis, but it really is not, because Bereshit means in the beginning. So maybe you can translate Genesis meaning in the beginning, but Bereshit means in the beginning in Hebrew. And as you know, I speak Hebrew. It'll blast off from Florida. Why? Because all Jews live in Florida. It's like a law. They're mandatory. And they all have to live like in and around Miami with the Cubans.
You speak Arabic too.
Yeah. Yes. And it'll be on the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, whatever the heck that means. The time capsule is a single space-resilient disk, roughly the size of a CD, holding digital files of children's drawings. Why do they always do children's drawings? Photographs and information on Israeli culture and the history of humanity.
But that's a silly thing to put in a disc.
Well, I agree.
Because,
But they all seem to do that.
I know, but like even the discs from a long time ago when we were children, those don't work anymore.
I wanted to send my pictures, but they wouldn't let me. There's a reason why it's called Bereshit, which means in the beginning, not Genesis, and I'll explain that in my January class, which you should come to, even though there's like no seats left.
Well, so then you can't invite them to come.
No, we could squeeze it like one or two more.
Are you sure?
I think so. Anyway, let's go to some, how shall I say it, world-altering geological news, because that's really, unfortunately, what's happened in the last week. The largest earthquake in 45 years hit eastern Tennessee. That must have made Dolly's boobies juggle a bit.
You know how I feel about that.
Yes, I know. Which is why I said that.
Yeah, do not say that.
This is a perfect opportunity for me to bring up what people say about you on, what is this? Online.
It's your hand.
No, there was something sticking out of your shoulder. Oh, that's your implant. And they said,
my wings.
Well, Janet looks so nasty and hostile and blah, blah, blah.
And angry.
Yeah, and she is. The truth is she really is. And I'm just trying to make her laugh a little bit, right?
Right.
I'm going to pull your implant. Yeah.
Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work because you're hard as a rock.
As an earthquake rock.
Well, and so it made headlines. It was only 4.4 magnitude, but it was so powerful it was felt in portions of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Kentucky. It was a southern rumble. And it was even felt as far as Atlanta, which was highly unusual, and it even had an aftershock of 3.0. Now, here's the part you need to know. When earthquakes are increasing in size and frequencies, and many are concerned that this may be dire for our future, the recent earthquakes in Alaska were also a bit of a shock. But they're not unusual because it's on the Ring of Fire. But eastern Tennessee is not an area that has traditionally been prone to quakes. And it's possible, and I never heard this word before, this term, that a seismic scar was created when the North American continent was formed, and it's beginning to reawaken.
I never heard that one either.
Yeah, they always put these new terms in like it's always been there.
Right.
Some experts had regarded eastern Tennessee as one of the safest areas in the eastern half of the country. But after this, they are reevaluating that idea. They said when the earthquake happened, the shaking was so violent, kind of like what you do to me in the morning. Like
because I'm so angry.
That when you're choking me awake.
Yes, because I'm so angry with you.
That it actually woke people from their sleep all the way into North Carolina. Eastern Tennessee is not in the New Madrid seismic zone, but Some are speculating that the deep underground scar that was created in the formation of North America may be awakening once again. We should have a drum roll. Dun, 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 dun. Now, according to where your family is, Missouri Department of Missouri. It's an I, not an A.
It's a short I.
It's an E.
Missouri.
Yeah. That's what people can't speak properly.
Missouri.
Department of. They also say tornado. Okay.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Department of Natural Resources. Any earthquakes that occur along the New Madrid Fault could shake and damage an area approximately 20 times larger than earthquakes in California. And we've had them here.
Yep.
Now, this one says, warning, warning, Naples supervolcano is showing signs of a possible Vesuvian-style eruption. Does that mean like they serve it with spaghetti and marinara sauce?
But they've been talking about this now for a long time.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before. I've mentioned about Italy's Campi Flegrei volcano, which in nearly 400 years has been silent, but it's getting ready for another eruption. And they said that is the center of a caldera, and the ground has been uplifted by just under 4 meters, but that's a lot, in the last 60 years. And so they said that it's just west of Naples, and it's home to 1 million people. A lot of Italian shaking up going on there. And speaking of volcanoes, there was an intense earthquake swarm. This is in Iceland, in Mount Hurtubreth.
You only choose these stories because you want to say the names.
No, they're very hard to say. Hurtubreth. And that was in the northeast central highlands. And it shows no signs of slowing. There were 200 quakes. And however, the seismic activity, and they called it, here's the thing why it's important. It was considered an extinct volcano. And so the earthquake and seismic activity remain a mystery. This volcano, because it's breath with it, it's Icelandic. It formed in a single eruption 11,000 years ago, almost like right after Atlantis sank, and then and Iceland went up. The area is known for high levels of seismic activity, and it's in that rift where the two we walked on those.
I love that area. It's one of my favorite in the whole world.
Yeah. Now, here's an update since we're doing this today, because just this little while ago, there was an undersea volcanic eruption of what they call the Child of Krakatoa in Indonesia, which created a tsunami that killed over 200 people, and it erupted in the early 1800s last time and caused a volcanic ice age across the northern hemisphere.
That. All right, my turn?
Yeah.
I've got some.
Only if you could say
Perfect. Anyway, interesting news. Trump's wall is back in the news again and again and again and again. Did you hear about, let me see, the U.S. Air Force veteran and Purple Heart recipient and triple amputee?
That's a lot of
issues there. He started a GoFundMe page titled "We the People Will Fund the Wall." And within 3 days, they had about $4.5 million raised.
We should do that.
I know.
We need a wall in our ravine.
He said if 63 million people who voted for Trump each pledge $80, we can build the wall. That it equates to roughly $5 billion. That's a lot of money.
Actually, when you think about it, it's not. When you think of how long that wall has to be.
Yeah, I don't think they can build the wall. And that's the thing that I don't understand why this keeps going on.
I mean, we know. We've been there to the Big Bend area. It's not possible.
Not possible to build it. That's just the way it is. I just think it's interesting that he raised so much money so fast. But then Trump said that Mexico is indirectly paying for the wall.
Yeah, I heard that before.
Through the new USMCA, which is a replacement for NAFTA, which in a way is kind of like what you were talking about in your section. And then...
I will talk to the new president of Mexico about that.
He says far more money, Trump says on his tweet, far more money coming to the U.S. because of the tremendous dangers at the border, including large-scale criminal and drug inflow.
That's true.
The U.S. military will build the wall. So he's still talking about it, but I don't know how they can make it happen.
I think that's a metaphor for something else.
Yeah, could very well.
Especially after my report, where he's going to develop Mexico and Central America, they won't need a wall.
Right, because the people will have things to stay there for.
They want to keep Americans in.
Well, I had said that in the beginning. I had said that in the beginning. In fact, I even talk about those walls along the interstates. You know, they say they're for sound, but I think, you know, if you want to get out of that area, you can't. You're stuck. And then I had told you about the Yellow Vest protests in France, right?
Right. Get rid of Macron. Get
now
out
they've
of there.
been spreading to Taiwan of all places.
Well, that's not near France.
I know. They apparently have anti-tax demonstrators who want a more transparent tax system. So supporters of the Taiwanese Tax and Legal Reform League each donned a trademark gilet jaune or yellow vest and marched on Taiwan's presidential office in the capital of Taipei last week. So it's interesting. I wonder if this yellow vest thing is going to become like a global thing or for the people.
I don't like yellow.
I'm just telling you. I just think it's
It
interesting.
looks like a bumblebee.
Well, here's somebody that you'll like. Putin.
I like Putin.
Okay. Putin says that rap music should be controlled in Russia but not banned. And I thought it was interesting that the president would weigh in on this. And the interesting thing he says is that rap is based on 3 pillars: sex, drugs, and protest.
Well, that's the truth.
And he says he's mostly concerned about the drug theme and said that the drugs are a path to the degradation of the nation, which I happen to agree,
I agree with him.
And he says he doesn't want to ban it because that makes it more popular. So he said if we can't stop it, then we need to direct and lead it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with rap music in Russia.
You know, I've had rap songs written about me.
Yes, I know. I know. So I found that interesting. Then moving on to Guatemala. Did you know that there is a Jewish cult, ultra-Orthodox Jewish cult in Guatemala? Yes, called
How unusual.
Lev Tahor.
Who?
Lev Tahor is the name of the cult.
Who's a whore?
Lev Tahor.
Let me see that.
Where is it?
Lev Tahor.
That's what I said.
You sound something different.
No, I said Lev Tahor is the name of the sect.
Lev means heart.
Okay, and apparently what does Tahor mean?
Means, I don't want to say.
Okay. Anyway, apparently it was founded in Canada in 2014.
I get to Guatemala from
And then they
Canada.
had to flee amid allegations of child abuse and suspicions the group was carrying out underage marriages.
Oh.
And then in Guatemala, they settled in San Juan Laguna, but then they had similar accusations, so they had to move again.
Seems like they're on the run.
They're on the run. Now, apparently there is a woman who had to flee to Brooklyn from Guatemala.
Who flees to Brooklyn?
With her 6 children, claiming that the cult was responsible for abusing her children and that they wanted to marry her 13-year-old daughter off.
Yeah, but that's not unusual for Orthodox.
Well, she didn't like that, and to me it sounded almost, I'm sorry, Muslim-like.
Well, where do you think the Muslims got it? They're based on Judaism.
And the thing is, they showed pictures of this group in Guatemala, and the women all had on
yes,
big
it's all
full
from ancient
coverings
times.
and facial coverings.
Hey, you ever see what a nun wears the same thing?
Absolutely, Catholics. So I just found that interesting. So she wound up in New York, and she's filed for custody of her children. And of
Where are
course,
her children with her?
well, she managed to get 3 of them out, and somehow or another they didn't quite say how. And another 3 came with them, but then a couple more are missing. So she thinks the cult came and got them, and so
Well, she wasn't looking when they just grabbed them.
I don't know. And she's afraid for her other children that they might kidnap. And so anyway, so she filed her suit, and the father in Guatemala has filed his suit on behalf of the 13-year-old, saying she wants to stay with her father in Guatemala, and then they abuse her. So I just think it's interesting because we have all kinds of things going on in South America that we don't know about.
Especially Guatemala is Central America, not
Yeah.
something.
So anyway, it's very interesting what's going on down there. So I think that's a case that might be something to watch. But who knew that there was I think there's like 230 members in their community. So who knows what's going to happen with that. And then
They'd go like Guatemala.
I do talk a lot about twins because that's a programming trigger. So we have twins from Perth, Australia, Anna and Lucy
Oh, I just read about
The
them.
Cinque, I don't know how they say their last name.
Yeah, they're a little dopey.
Yeah, apparently they're 33 years old.
They look a lot older than that, by the way.
Well, that's because they have spent about $250,000 US on plastic surgery.
Where did they get that money?
Apparently they were the subject of some television show in their 20s. And at that time, then they got lip fillers, breast implants, facial tattooing,
Like me.
skin needling, laser treatments, eyebrows, even the eyebrow, whatever they do to your eyebrows these days, they tattoo them or something, and hair extensions. They once had
I should get hair extensions.
they once had 14 beauty procedures in 2 weeks.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but then they
See, I
decided
don't
to
need
let.
that many because I'm all ready.
They had their picture of them like growing up as little girls, and then as a
Yeah, so they
teenagers.
actually looked like cute little
Yeah,
girls. They were
yeah.
not identical, but now they are.
Yeah, and they wanted to make themselves identical. So and now
And
they.
they're kind of ugly, really, now.
Well, I don't like all that stuff, but they said it made them look too plasticky, so they
Well, they look
they
pretty
stopped
plastic
a lot of
right
that.
now.
But think of what they must have looked like before they
I
stopped.
don't want to
all
think
that.
about it.
Anyway, for 6 years, apparently they've been dating the same man. And so they both want to marry the same man, but it's illegal in Australia. So
They should move to Guatemala with those other
yeah,
couples.
there you go. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting because of the twins. And honestly, in this case, I can see, if 3 people want to be together, that's their stuff, but you don't necessarily have to make it legal.
I was
so
going
to
to ask you if I could bring in someone who looks like your twin.
What do you think?
I take that as a yes.
Yeah, then I can say a lot of things that they don't want to hear, so I won't.
Okay.
And speaking of which, in the UK,
Yuck is called yuck.
Brighton and Hove City Council issued guidelines for 8-year-old pupils to be told that all genders can have periods under these new guidelines.
Like boys can have periods.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The guideline states that trans boys and men and non-binary people may have periods. This is what they want to tell 8-year-olds, right? So,
First of all, I don't care what gender an 8-year-old is. They don't need to know about a period right now.
no, they're too young anyway, I agree. But anyway, and then they want to put bins for used period products in toilets for all children,
What
both
if-
boys
what?
and girls. Bins.
Oh, bins.
Bins
I don't understand your accent.
for used period products in all toilets regardless of gender. So of course the parents are disturbed about
I
it,
hope
but
so.
this is what's happening out there in this crazy world. And then the last thing Christmas news. We're just here in the US, getting ready for Christmas, right?
Appreciation Week.
So, Elf on the Shelf. I've talked to you a little bit about that before.
Oh, yeah. Can we get one?
No, because they murdered them.
What?
Yes, apparently again in the UK in Manchester.
Of course they did.
And again, 8 and 9-year-old students,
They murdered them?
in their classrooms, their elves were murdered.
How could they do that?
Isn't that awful?
But elves have magic. They can't get murdered.
According to this, it traumatized at least one student because there was a crime scene in one of the classrooms. There was police tape. A table had been knocked over. There was blood smeared on one of the tables.
Oh, that's elf blood?
Yeah. And then a tweet from the school matches the mother's description that showed photos of fake blood droplets on tables.
Was it green blood?
Oh, they said blood. Caution tape blocking off areas of the school. Police evidence reports filled out in kid
So they
scribble.
did this like kind of a silly thing?
And the one student wrote, "I hate Christmas," and drew a small gun. So the idea apparently that the elf was murdered by another elf, and it was some exercise so the children could write about it and solve the crime.
Elficide.
And the parent said her daughter came home upset. Remember, these are 8 and 9-year-old kids, and said she was traumatized. And the mother says it was a gruesome writing lesson, and I'm not the only parent who felt like this. A lot of the kids were unsettled by it, but the school says there's no problem, and the kids loved it.
What did the queen say?
In fact, the children were all excited. They really did buy into it, said Ian Fell, head teacher of the school. He said of all the 90 children who took part, none of them showed anything but full engagement. And then he went on to say, I've been a teacher for 30 years, and this, in my judgment, is an appropriate, engaging, and exciting thing that children aged 8 and 9 have done.
Right. So murdering a creature, whether it's human or not, is an engaging good thing.
And apparently with blood and
Brilliant.
police tape.
That's why
and
that's why Britain lost the empire, and they're going to be in the toilet soon.
so I don't think it's a good idea to murder your elf.
I don't think elf or no elf.
No.
And we know some elves, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
And they're coming to January class, at least one elf.
Yeah, but the thing is, what if it had been a stuffed toy or something?
I don't care what it is. You don't murder anything.
Right, it's a bad thing. So anyway, and I can see how children would be traumatized by that. So
Britain, really.
that's the Christmas story.
You need dental work and you need therapy.
So, speaking of therapy, we have exactly what you need over there. We have, coming up in January, a continuation, which you can join us at the beginning of every month when we start a new series of classes. Our self-affirming
I'm self-affirming.
webinars, self-healing webinars called Affirming You. And based on this book, it's really, really good. People are doing fantastic work in there as always.
Affirming you, we just say F you.
There you go.
Yeah.
And of course, well, so many to choose from. Here's all these books. You know, it's interesting. I get some people say, we're so happy you show the books, and other people say, oh, you shouldn't be selling books.
There's always Kramniks on there.
Yes, and the thing
Go
is
away.
that you need to know who we are, and you need to know our work, and then you can make an informed decision.
But they don't. The ones who make these negative comments are not informed, and they're mindless, brainless people.
Yeah, so don't be mindless, bring dead people. Read books, Decoding Your Life, and by the way, they are available on Kindle. This is Universal Law, a very basic book, which I wrote like almost 40 years ago, and it's still true
You're like
to this
over
day.
40?
I'm over 40. This is Great White Owl Legends, which is an archetypal story of creation. This is fantastic from the 20s, or actually, were they early in the 20s? I can't remember when she got this. 1943, she got this book. And then Stewart interpreted this, and he did an amazing, amazing
I
job.
always do an amazing job.
Yes, you do. You're very good. And then, of course, so that control your own mind so other people don't control it for you.
If you have a mind.
13 Cube, True Reality of Sexuality. This is a great healing set. Stewart says, and get all 4 of these in one envelope. Stewart says, Hyperspace Helper, which also goes, it has basic deprogramming exercises. Hyperspace Plus, Healing Archetypes and Symbols. This one people love, love, love because it does have all the...
And this will be in
pictures
my, they want me to teach that in my Quito class in Ecuador in March.
All right, that's good to know. And then, of course, we have Montauk Alien Connection, Your Claim to Fame, True World History, and Blue Blood Galactic History. So we have so many books, and we have study guides during our Appreciation Week that we're giving away free with any purchase. We are. It's a different one every day, and we have so much information out there. Get a membership on our site, get to know us, and then make an informed decision. Don't listen to crap on the internet about us, because there's all kinds of crap, no matter where you look.
And that's what they're trying to do these days, is to knock out the people who tell the truth.
Exactly. So, anyway, do your own
Don't
investigation.
ever listen or watch CNN, ever.
Yeah. Do your own investigation, and then come to your own conclusions. And don't throw vitriol just because you can.
I don't even know vitriol.
Vitriol, just because you can.
Yes, you don't know how to speak properly.
Is that it? All right, so we tell them, we said the January class.
Webinars are ongoing.
Yeah, Quito,
Havana,
Havana.
Unana. I just got a letter this afternoon from Havana saying that the government has issued a letter. It's going to be signed. It's going to be a great event in May.
All right, and then of course the end of June is Italy, and I'm not sure, I might add something else in there. Italy plus, I guess, as you would say. Excuse me. So we have lots of great things going on, and again, like our Facebook page, you get an extra 8% discount. We have so many things out there for those of you who are serious about changing your life, changing your finances, changing your relationships,
Changing your underwear.
There you go. So get to know us and what we have to offer, and then make an informed decision. So take care until next time.
Have a happy appreciation week.
And a happy New Year. We'll
No,
talk to them
we have
before
another
then.
one before New Year.
All right.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.